As we move over to the panel here, I do want to go over a few things. Questions are welcome. For this time, the best way to get questions in is to use the chat box. If you're familiar with Zoom, you can click on chat and put your questions in there, or your comments, or your heckling, depending on how we do. You can put questions in there for Don right now if you'd like. Questions along the way. We will keep microphones off for the panel discussion. At the end, if there's time, we'll open the microphones up for Q&A and visiting time. But to go along at the time, and if you don't want to forget or get your question or missed, go ahead and throw it in that chat box. Okay, moving on to the panel discussion. Once again, the idea is why every business needs a dream team, and the dream team for us when it comes to business is your attorney, is your CPA, is your insurance provider, and is your bank. And the team aspect of that is more than just having each one of those parts in place. And I know Troy will speak to this, and maybe we can just get started right there. But the idea is having a team of people that work together and know each other, rather than just having one or two or three or four of those that you may or may not have now, and have them separate. The synergies created when these players are familiar with one another will help you and your business, and we'll get into that. I'd like to start by going around the horn once with each panelist introducing themselves, their firm, and from their perspective, what their piece of the team looks like and how it helps the business. Mike, you're number one on my screen, so I'll start with you.
Lucky me. My name's Mike Geronimo. I'm a shareholder at the law firm Miller Star Regalia. I've been here, well, over 35 plus years now, so pretty long period of time. We specialize in all aspects of real estate law. Also do banking and some commercial law as well. We do believe in working as a team. I think having a good team from a client base in terms of an insurance person, bank, financial advisor, a CPA are paramount, because the world's so complex these days. You really need specialists in all those different areas to make your business hum and go along, your personal life as well. So I think the key is to find people that you enjoy working with, and I think Fremont Bank and the other people on the panel are great people to work with, and I think that to me is just as important as the talent level, because if you don't get along with your advisors and you don't have a good personal relationship, then it's not quite the same. So I think at least one of the themes I'm going to have today is find people you enjoy hanging out with, that you have good communication skills with, and that have good connections themselves, because again, the world's so complex. You need a whole team, and just having a small aspect of it will, is not as beneficial as having a whole group.
Thanks, Mike.
Welcome.
Joe, I see you on my screen next, so we'll move over to you. Go ahead and introduce yourself and your firm, and your piece of the puzzle, so to speak.
Thanks, Derek. My name is Joe Ivankovich. I'm a partner with Johnston, Gremax, and Rossi, JGR. We're located in Pleasant Hill. We're about 50 people, 5 partners. We work with a wide variety of industries: manufacturing, distribution, construction, real estate, trucking, professional services. Our main industries there. Work with all privately held companies, so no publicly traded companies. Have a lot of family-owned, second, third generation businesses, and is kind of how we work with our clients is the same way that I think we'll talk about today. I mean, we're definitely big on relationships. They're not transactional. Believe in service, which can be as simple as returning calls and emails timely, and believe in planning with our clients. And I agree with definitely Mike said there. We want to find people that you enjoy being with and like personally, whether it's your clients or certainly the people that you work with, whether it be your law firm or insurance and what have you. I think it's to me what kind of being piece of the puzzle is figuring out, when you need to contact, those other people on a client's dream team, I guess, and ultimately developing relationships with them so that when when the time comes, you need something, even something quickly, you can hop on the phone with the lawyer or the banker or whoever and come to a quick answer, and you've already kind of vetted each other a little bit and know how each other think. So yeah, it's a little bit about me and my firm and how we work together with people.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And Wayne, you're next on my screen. You're up next, sir.
Well, thank you. I'm Wayne Rudick, president of Pleasanton Valley Insurance, and we are celebrating our 30th year in business. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out, this whole conversation is about relationships. When we first started, there wasn't a bank that would touch us until we met with Fremont Bank, and that relationship has continued throughout the years. And I think everybody on this webinar recognizes the service level that they provide. So we've got the very similar philosophy. Somebody asked what our mantra was, and it's very simple. We answer our phones. We want to be responsive to our clients. We want them to be able to get a hold of us. And, in this crazy world, especially with what we all have been facing the last 2 years, it's been a little upside down. So we specialize pretty much in business insurance. That's workers' comp, auto, liability, umbrellas. Cyber, unfortunately, is a big topic today. Employment practices. And again, it's we've got people scattered throughout California. Got somebody now in Colorado. But again, the philosophy is if we can get the proper information from our clients, which means that in some cases we're dealing with legal or the CPAs, that helps a client achieve better credits when it comes up for renewals, especially larger accounts. One other example would be bonds for contractors. And that's very similar to a bank. If you're going to go get a mortgage, they need to see some of the documents and the backup material. When you do that, you're going to get better rates. And basically, that's in a nutshell what PVI is about, and the relationships that are so critical to our customers.
Absolutely. And agreed. Thank you, Wayne.
That's why he must the dog and the rice.
I didn't hear
What?
that.
I didn't hear it either. Okay.
Dog bite?
Maybe Gene's dog bit him. We'll keep an eye out for Gene. In the meantime, Troy Williams, you're up, sir. Troy is with Fremont Bank.
Thanks, Tarek. I'm Troy Williams. My title's a little confusing, but I'm responsible for underwriting and operations on the commercial side. So obviously, this is all about commercial banking and lending. We have a group in Livermore. We work with Tarek and Don and the rest of our relationship managers and help underwrite, deliver the commercial loans that they're serving clients with. I can see I got the sun coming in on my shirt there.
You look great.
I think Tarek asked me to speak today because he knows I've been a community banker in the Bay Area my 40 or so years. Just thinking back, I think it was 1982, so maybe in a few months it'll be about 40 years. Fremont Bank's only the third bank that I've been at, so very long-term community bank experiences. I'm a huge fan of community banking, and I think a lot of you know about Fremont Bank, but I think we're in our 56th year. All kinds of services, big mortgage lender, wealth management, and also the commercial part, which we're all very involved in and active with day to day. But it's great that we have all the other disciplines with us. In getting asked to speak or to be on the panel, looks like we need to go on mute. Just thinking back, about being on this panel tonight, everything is about relationships, no matter what part of the business it is. And every business owner needs, the trusted advisors and the team. And they have enough to do to worry about running the business and making sure that their activities are going well. So when they need something from the bank or from their attorney or their CPA or their insurance, it shouldn't be a a challenging situation for them. So obviously that's why we think it's important for everybody to have the disciplines and have the team together. Thanks a lot, Terry.
Perfect, Troy. Exactly. And so the idea, and we'll get to why you should set it up now and not wait till later. It's a topic down the line for a few minutes from now. But the idea is not only to have these folks together, but to have them know each other well enough that they can work together to be part of your overall team. As we move into that piece, I'd love to hear from the panel, and hopefully this can be more of an open discussion about why, from your perspective, the other three are integral parts of the team and how they impact your ability to help our mutual client.
I can jump in real quickly. This is Wayne. Typically, we're seeing a lot of contracts, whether it's commercial real estate or a contractor doing a project, and they're coming to us and sending over some of the specifications to take a peek at it from an insurance perspective. And a lot of times, those contracts are 30 to 60 pages long. So it's always critical from our standpoint to have an attorney discuss that with their client. And we always basically say, yes, we'll look at it from the insurance aspect, but we always want them to review the details with their attorney. Same thing with the CPA financials. As a client gets bigger, and a real good example, I had a contractor that started out and they were about 10 employees. At that point, they had a CPA that was local. They grew to 150 employees on a national basis. Obviously, things changed. We sat down with them and said, look, it's time that you really get to a qualified, not that the other individual wasn't, but they weren't specialists in the construction trade. So that is probably, some of the interactions that we see.
And I would say, as an attorney, particularly having, a good CPA, an accountant, or insurance people are really important. Like, for example, I'm working on a ground up construction project in the Central Valley, and we're trying to finish up the contract with the general contractor, and it has some interesting insurance aspects, and having that insurance person around to talk about the builder's risk policy and the coverages for the contractor is really important to make sure that works. And then at the same time, have a relationship with your lender to make sure that whatever requirements the lender has are being met. You want to make sure you cover all these things ahead of time. There's nothing worse than, lawyers know enough about insurance and accounting to be dangerous. And you need those other experts to sort of make sure that what you're putting into these contracts makes sense and are obtainable. And insurance tends to change, over the years. And you need to make sure that the products you're specifying are actually obtainable, so that you're not in breach or you're trying to impose something that's not likely to be obtainable. So I think those are all important tasks. And then, from a real estate perspective, a lot of the things we work on are exchanges and other similar things. And it's really helpful to have that team of people to sort of collaborate and talk about accounting and tax issues and sometimes get different perspectives. And usually that's helpful to kind of get a solution where you get comfortable with it. So it's good. It's good check and balance as well.
Yeah. I just think, from my experience, working with the team and the dream team, if you call it, and a lot of times it's not all three on everything. Usually you're working with one of the people on a certain thing, but I think it saves our clients time and money, right? A lot of times, I can think of when I'm working with, attorneys I have a good relationship with, and I already know them real well. And instead of client talking to attorney and then calling me, I jump on the phone with the attorney, and in 10 minutes, we come to a solution. I just had a thing last night and through today where we've been working on getting ready for a pretty big 1031 exchange transaction. And last night, title company called me, and we had an issue. Actually, we had an owner. We didn't realize when they did a title search, I guess here at the last minute, that there was a trust ownership that we weren't aware of. And I've worked with this client for 30 years. The attorneys worked with them for 15 years and happened to do all the grant deeds and everything. So I jumped on the phone with the attorney. and we came to a pretty quick answer on what we thought happened. There was also some 1031 applications, which we do, but I also called the 1031 person and talked through that. So, over the course of late yesterday and through today, we solved it, and it made it a whole heck of a lot easier, being people who've worked together, but also who've worked with the client together for many years. So, a lot of times that we talk to the client, they said, we'll call someone, we'll call the banker, call the attorney, see what they think, and like someone said earlier, our clients are busy running their businesses. So if they can have that team, it really saves them a lot of time, doesn't cost them more money. In fact, it should save them money. So, yeah, I know that's kind of some examples, I guess, that I've dealt with, but
Yeah,
definitely go ahead.
Yeah, I say some other good examples are, you're leasing out property. A lot of things you want to make sure the tenant has the ability to perform. You have your accountant look at the financial statements from the tenant. It's always a great idea to be proactive in that area. If you're going to be buying property, and you're getting a loan, make sure you know what the bank's requirements are. And having worked, if you're part of a team that includes a bank like Fremont Bank, you have a pretty good idea of what you need to satisfy them to close, and much better to know that up front than as you get around the closing. A lot of clients, they're in a position where they're not sure who the lender is going to be, and it's sort of a last moment deal, and it really puts a great deal of stress on their team trying to close their deals when the requirements are sort of a shifting sand of different items. So the certainty is always better in terms of helping these deals progress more quickly and with certainty.
Yeah, I would add, similarly, when we talk about real estate transactions, the coordination of the different people together. Every week we see a transaction that there's changes at the last minute when you go to escrow or something. So if you have your attorney and your CPA and insurance, if people are all on track ahead of time, then you're going to have a lot smoother close. A lot of closings get delayed because of somebody needs a trust to now be part of the transaction. They weren't planning it before, things like that. So that's something we experience frequently. And then we've experienced some very complex transactions where all those pieces were in place and things happened on time, and there was great communication with everybody throughout the process.
Yeah, and then the part of the bank is helping you accumulate assets and provide for a healthy financial future, but all that can kind of go astray if you don't have the right entity or if you don't have the right insurance. And so it's important to have all these things covered. It's sort of amazing that you have a lot of transactions where you think you have renter's insurance, but you really don't have the right type of insurance, or you're underfunded. I had a case a long time ago where there was a dentist who got ran over in a shopping center parking lot, and the tire came to rest on his head, which was unfortunate. But it was a huge liability case because dentists make a lot of money, and there wasn't really a sufficient amount of insurance coverage. It sort of got pieced together, but it had to be really creative the way we ended up doing it. But it would have been a lot easier had the insurance been a higher amount. And I think our insurance person can talk about this, but I mean, Wayne, the insurance is generally pretty cheap, liability insurance, and particularly in relationship to potential liability. And I almost always find that the clients tend to have not enough liability insurance, and it's almost always a mistake to sort of underfund that. Is that something you want to talk about, Wayne?
No, never again.
Never again. Okay.
Never again. Actually, what we're facing right now, what I'm sure a lot of the customers at Fremont Bank are facing, is what the industry is calling some nuclear settlements. And those are settlements that in the past, $1 million would have been a lot, and $1 million today is peanuts compared to some of the actual losses that are occurring. So yeah, we are seeing that, Michael, and it's unfortunate. As a matter of fact, we had a call earlier today from one of our clients, and they were hit with a ransom attack. Fortunately, they were able to cut it off very quickly, but that actually brings up something too, that many of the policies, for example, the cyber policies and also the employment practices policies have services that, number one, they'll come in and they'll actually check your system to determine if you're vulnerable. So they're trying to be proactive. The same with the employment practices. You can pick up a phone number, and instead of possibly firing somebody that's been a problem for the industry or for your company, you can call and talk to them before taking action so that it doesn't end up being a claim. The other critical part of that is if you're working with an attorney or CPA, they'd like to know that ahead of time so that they can coordinate those situations. And we do have cases, Michael, in particular with the legal, where the client comes to someone like you and they have a conversation and it goes on for 3-4 months, but they forget to call the insurance carrier. So it really is vital that all the parties are discussing, the various interactions. The same happens with the banks. Unfortunately, a lot of times we'll get the last phone call, which is a Friday afternoon saying, oh, by the way, we forgot about insurance and we need to close on Monday. That's a tough situation. The market has definitely changed. It's not as easy as it was even 6-7 months ago. So the sooner you can coordinate with the team and get everybody on board, it makes life much easier for especially the business owners that want to purchase a piece of property, for example.
In particular with insurance, you get I think as Wayne was pointing, you get a lot of sort of expertise from the carriers. Like we do a lot of work with contaminated properties, and a lot of our clients sort of specialize in buying and developing those properties. And there's some neat things you can do with environmental insurance. But what's cool about that is you can find some people in the environmental world that really have a great deal of expertise and can be really fundamental in terms of helping you look at your business and figure out ways that you can make things work that you might not have otherwise, and to understand the property you're buying. And you got to buy the product, but you get a lot of free information in conjunction with that. That's pretty darn helpful. And I think that's having a good team that sort of does what you do is pretty darn helpful. And the same thing with your bank. They're actively involved in your business, and it's helpful having that second set of eyes to help you. Accountant, same thing, very fundamental.
Yeah, I agree. I think that even just with the panel, if everyone can hear that we get this group talking, and there's plenty of things for us to talk about. The synergies created with these key advisors for you as the person that's running the business or owning or managing the business is vital. But the communication between them is what makes it the team. Again, it's the synergy, but what does that do for you? Well, we're already hearing that it saves you time, it saves you money, it saves you stress, it saves you having to be the middle person of your own conversation. And it will help you get things done faster off your plate and onto something like earning your own revenue instead of looking at all these other parts. I know just from my perspective in banking, and like Wayne and Mike both brought up the needing for an insurance cert at the last minute. If hopefully that doesn't happen, but if it does, and we're calling an 800 number instead of knowing someone at Wayne's firm, it just changes everything. And to Joe's example of being able to get on the phone with one of the other partners here on the call and solving it in a matter of minutes instead of emails going around to multiple parties and it taking days, that's money, that's stress, that's time you could be thinking about doing something else. So that's really the key here is of why these folks, when you build your team, why you need to make sure that you introduce them all and that they have an opportunity to get to know each other and build some professional trust. Well, talking about building the team, I do want to ask the group their thoughts on why you shouldn't wait, why you should build this team now before you need it, why you should have each one of these folks in place, even if you don't think, well, maybe I'm not big enough, or maybe I don't have a use for an attorney, or maybe my industry doesn't do that, or my insurance is covered online. Let's talk about why we need to build these personal relationships. And why you should do it now and not wait. Troy, you've been quiet for a little while, so I'm gonna point to you first.
Absolutely. Well, I think everybody's situation is different. Their status, their maturity in their business is different. Probably everybody has a connection, but it's a matter of how close the connection is. And does it need to be expanded or deepened in advance of, the growth or the next transaction along the way? And we would obviously argue, yes, everybody needs to have those personal relationships. And I would even say, if you don't have that, then you should be talking to your peers and your other professionals and asking about who they use and how you might get introduced to some other firms or people. And just to back up for one sec, the point you were just making, Tarek, I think it stands out to me that historically we talk about trusted advisors, and any one of these professions could be considered that, but to make it a team and that they know each other, we certainly see that a lot, but that's taking it a level higher than just having that one relationship, one-on-one. So I think that's really what stands out to me today in this panel.
Yeah, I think you want to have the right, my thought on it is you want to have the right person. Most people have have one of these, accountant, an attorney, an insurance person, a banker, but you want to make sure you have the right one. Obviously, if you don't have the right team and all of a sudden something comes up and it's kind of too late at that point, but I think you want to make sure you have the right people. I think you want to, for your business, I know a lot of people are loyal and don't want to switch, things, or just don't want to switch in general, but you want to make sure you have the right people in place for you. I think it's also good to have people in place that have that are well connected with others that can help get you referrals. Most people, one of the people in this group is their quarterback, right? But I think you want that quarterback to be able to know others that, I can't do it, but I can find the person who can do it for you. I think that's an important thing, whether it's your banker, your attorney, or accountant, that, they know others and they're doing a good job of, being well versed in their business community so they can get you help, even if it's not them. So,
Yeah, Joe, I think that's great. It really leads us right into the next question is, how do you pick your partner? Obviously, we're happy to refer you to folks, but if you're interviewing and trying to get to know someone, what are good questions to ask from the perspective of the panel on how to pick these partners?
Yeah, I have a thought there. There was a picture from I think the 60s, Vernon Law, and his famous saying was, experience is the best teacher. It gives the test first, the lesson afterwards. And there's nothing that beats experience. So the first thing I would simply ask the person you're interviewing is, how many similar deals or transactions or whatever the area you're talking about, and you want someone that has a lot of experience, because it's just you can't beat it. Like, I do a ton of work for some very large institutional quick service restaurants that are pretty well known, and I probably have done literally probably thousands of transactions for them, and you just learn stuff on every deal, and it's hard to replicate that. So I think the first thing would be experience. The second thing I talked about earlier is, do you get along with that person? And more importantly, I think some advisors, they like to tell you what to do, but really that's not the advisor's job. The advisor's job is to tell you what the options are, and then you're the business person. You make the decision. You're the client. So look for someone that will listen to you, will explain your options, but will, have the ability and personality where they can follow your directions once the information you need to make a decision. And then finally, you got to figure out that price works. You need to make sure that it's a price that works for you. Although, again, you kind of pay for what you get most of the time, but you do want to have that discussion and figure out that works for you up front. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I think you nailed them there, Mike. I was going to say Raider fan or 49er fan. Yeah, that's kind of the first direction. You have to decide which way you want to go. But yeah, everything you said, I think someone you're a good fit with. I want to understand how people communicate. When people ask me, email, phone, meeting, I say any of those things. What works for you? Get an idea how people are communicate. I like to meet with people in person when I can. That's how I get to know people. Make sure you're going to be working with them. are you going to be working with the person you're meeting with directly, and what kind of team are they going to have behind them when they're not there? Just kind of a few things to add on to what Mike brought up, which I thought kind of nailed it pretty well there. So yeah.
I'll jump in for a sec. One thought that I have is it's also these relationships tend to be very long-term in nature.
Mhm.
I personally have a CPA that I've had 25 years, for example, but along the way, someone retires or someone, exits or something like that. So I think looking at who the firm is, who the company is, like Joe just said, who's there behind when that person's not there or on vacation, that matters also. So, and good firms tend to hire and retain good people. So, I think that's important. It doesn't apply for smaller firms all the time, but I think that's important to remember as well.
What about you, Wayne?
I think, again, it just comes down to relationships, and COVID obviously been very difficult for a lot of our clients in the last 2 years. Thank goodness it looks like we're moving in a very positive direction. So we always like to have that one-on-one conversation, because really people are giving you some very important information. Sometimes it's critical information, confidential information that they truly don't want to disclose. And there's a trust that has to be built up over a period of time to recognize that, we all are there to help support them. And again, to try and discuss why those details are critical. So it's important to pick somebody that you're going to be comfortable with, no question.
Yeah, I think the final thing is just find people that have worked with them before. I think that's your best guide. If you get good reviews, that speaks volumes usually.
Agreed. Perfect. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm looking to try and keep us on time here too. This is perfect timing this far through. I wanted to try and allow a little bit of time for Q&A. I'm having trouble checking the chat box, but I'll see if I can get to it. But if anyone has any questions, you can either put them in the chat box, or if you want to, you can jump off mute, and we'll spend a few minutes with some Q&A. But before the 5 o'clock hour hits, we do have to announce our winners of the drawing. We'll give it a minute to see if somebody's going to type something in, or if they want to come off mute. Or what we can do, if people are thinking of questions, we can move straight over to the drawing, and then we can go back to some Q&A. Okay, and I'm getting the winners right now, which is, you can see me doing this. I have and I'm supposed to announce these names 3 times each. I hope you can still see me. I think I just lost my Zoom feed there. Did I just lose you guys as I was checking the winners? I apologize for that. The first gift basket, the winner, drum roll, is Bill Wheeler. Yay, Bill Wheeler. And because I have to do it 3 times, Bill Wheeler, you won the basket. Okay. Compliance tells me 3 times. I'm going to keep doing it. That was the wine basket, by the way. And the whiskey basket is Jeffrey Schlegel. I hope I got your name right, Jeffrey. You are the winner of the whiskey basket. One more time, Jeffrey Schlegel has the whiskey basket. Wow. And don't worry, guys. We have your email addresses from when you registered. Michelle or someone from Client Relations already has your contact info, and they will be emailing you with further information on how to claim the prizes. We have one more, which is the 2-night stay at one of our Fremont Bank corporate properties down in the Monterey Pebble Beach area. And the winner for that one is Kate Van Egan. Kate Van Egan, you won a stay at one of our Pebble Beach properties, a 2-night stay. The details of that will get to you, and how you can schedule that soon. Congratulations to you, Kate Van Egan. Congratulations to all the winners there. Fun to get to do that. And we'll stop for one more moment to see if there's any questions.
I don't know if am I off mute? This is Kate.
There you go, Kate. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, that's ironic, kind of funny, but it's funny. It's, I'm 2nd generation airport home appliances. And I'm dealing with it, it's just so funny. I needed this call like 15 months ago, and because my father's, attorney is about to retire. They want to work with a mom and pop CPA, and it's just, we've outgrown everything. And it's been a struggle between first and second generation, but I'm winning. So I'm slowly working toward it, but it's just the stuff you just have to start, I think the key was working with someone that you're comfortable with. And I didn't speak their language. They were at my father's language, and I need to speak to someone that's a little bit, that can move quicker and adapt and understand I'm in the growth mode, not the retirement mode. So it makes a big difference on it. So just too bad I didn't have this call over a year ago, but it's really important, even at any size. This would have been helpful for us 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if we would have just had this mindset in setting up a team that coordinates a CPA, the bank, the insurance, and we never did that. And we were very late in starting that. And it takes up way too much time on it. So I'm glad you guys are doing this.
Thank you.
I'm going to jump in real quick, talk about relationships. Kate, we just purchased some items from you. And the reason is my son grew up with Daniel Bodner, and he's a class act and a very, very good representative of your organization. So those, comes right back to the relationships.
Yeah, it is always about the relationship. I think we've heard that time and time again. That's great. Thank you. Unless there are other questions, I'd like to thank our speakers. I know that we can all stay on at the end, and we'll take all the mics off mute. So if there's some more casual questions and regular chatter at the end, I know there are several folks on the call that would like to catch up with one another, but I would like to thank everyone. I'll start again with Don Merrick, who gave us our market update. Thank you, Don. Really appreciate the time. And to our panelists, Mike DiGeronimo, partner over there at Miller Star, Joe Ivankovich, partner at JGR, Johnston, Gremax, Rossi CPA, Wayne Rudick, president at Pleasanton Valley Insurance, and Troy Williams, who didn't want to name his title, but it is Senior Vice President and Chief Commercial Lending Officer over here at Fremont Bank. Thanks to all. Also wanted to thank the folks that are behind the scenes. Michelle Wynn, who is works in client relations and is the producer extraordinaire on this. A lot of work. Thank you so much, Michelle, for putting it together with me. And that goes for Rolando Rodriguez as well. He and I have been working side by side to try and put this event together. Appreciate your help, Rolando. Jay Chandra, who is everything that you have received via email, and the graphics that were put together were done by him. And of course, my assistant, Margaret Figueroa, has been the production assistant over here behind the camera. Margaret, thank you so much for your help. Appreciate everyone. And if I missed anyone, I apologize there. I think that does it for us. We can open up the mics if anyone wants to hang out and chat or have a few more questions. But otherwise, I sure appreciate each and every one of your time for joining today. I know we're all busy. I hope this was beneficial to all of you. And if you have any thoughts or questions, reach out to me or any one of the panelists anytime, and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much.